Well, Celtic cruise through to the next round of the League Cup after beating Falkirk 4-1 this evening. Celtic Park was under the lights on a Friday night. It was a welcomed change for some people, and we've done the job. The treble chase is on, and Brendan Rodgers done it all with his tie on. Ain't that some news for you? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Sorry for the very late upload tonight. Friday night kick-off, all that jazz. A bit of a novelty, so a wee bit later it's taken me to get up the road tonight and to get sat down doing this. We'll try and fly through things quite quickly so it's not uploaded at a very absurd hour. But Celtic got the job done. 4-1 winners over Falkirk in what I would say is probably our best performance of the season thus far. 4 goals with a heavily rotated side as well. I was very pleased with what I saw tonight, and it felt kind of special. Friday night atmosphere I thought was great at Celtic Park. That's one thing I want to say just now. I would welcome more of these Friday night kickoffs. And yeah, we delivered. We delivered with a great attacking performance, with some flaws that we will talk about in the video, but generally speaking, you can't ask for much more, can you? Maybe a clean sheet. It's a shame we threw that away. Poor Vinny. So we'll go back to the start of the game as we always would. I thought Celtic were fantastic in the opening half hour, 35 minutes of the game. We were relentless in our attacks, and I think that we were very unlucky not to score 3, 4, 5 or more in the opening half an hour or so. Scott Bain seemed to come back to Celtic Park with a bit of a vengeance with some of the saves he was pulling off in that first half, and Celtic were just trying to open the score and to break the deadlock against the Falkirk side, who were definitely a lot more open than St Mirren were in the first game of the season, and probably even more so than Aberdeen were at Pittodrie last week. That was to be expected. I don't think John McGlynn makes it any secret that he doesn't want to sacrifice his football, and Falkirk were having a go of it. I mean, Christ, they had a couple of chances in the first half that we'll probably come back to at some point in this match reaction, but they were a lot more open. It allowed Celtic to play football that we're far more entertained by and far more familiar with, and it was definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, the most comfortable we looked moving forward, and that was with a lot of changes. You know, Brendan Rodgers made a lot of changes, and we're going to talk about certain players in this video, but we saw defensive changes with Murray and Trusty starting at centre half. We saw midfield changes with Engels, McCowan coming into the team. And then we saw attacking changes, of course, as well, with Kenny up front. So there was a lot of changes in that side for Celtic today, and it didn't feel like we missed a step. And this kind of bridges back into what I said last season a lot about Celtic. It feels like there is a lot of just consistency around the squad for Celtic. I feel like in domestic games anyway, I don't know if this would apply so much to big European games. Domestically, I feel like you can make a number of changes within this system and within the personnel of the system, I should say, and Celtic will look familiar when they're playing good football, because I feel like Brendan Rodgers and the coaching staff have just done such a good job at drilling what we do into each and every player, no matter how big or small an impact they may have on a week-to-week basis. It could be somebody like Dyson Maeda, who's playing 90 minutes every week, or it could be somebody like Luke McCowan, who's coming on playing 20 minutes here and there. I think that everybody is just so in tune with what we're trying to do, and that allows Brendan Rodgers to comfortably make changes. Obviously, the big thing is, and I won't lie or beat around the bush, there's no point of me pandering about or kind of pretending here. Falkirk are obviously significantly weaker than Celtic. They're coming up from the Championship. It doesn't matter what 11 you field, you should be beating them anyway. But it's the manner of how you beat these teams that's important. And this Celtic side tonight, I just thought looked so well gelled, looked like they were desperate for more goals. And I think if we had one more piece of the puzzle tonight, there would have been far more goals. Because let me get this out the way very, very early. I want to talk about it just straight off the bat and get any negativity out the way, because there's nothing to be overly negative about tonight. And if you do see people moaning about the game tonight, they're probably just miserable. Let me just call it how it is. But the one thing that I did take away is that we desperately need to sign a striker. We do. Adam Ida under heavy scrutiny. Questionable when it comes to if he's good enough or not. Johnny Kenny didn't step up tonight and take the chances that he could have. He could have put a lot of pressure on Ida. Yamada won't be too harsh on because he wasn't there, didn't get a lot of service for much in the game, but didn't take a chance and didn't give anybody any food for thought. This is what my exact wording was leaving the game. Adam Ida leaves Celtic Park tonight the happiest man in the ground. Because I think if Kenny scored a goal tonight, or even better, 2 goals, that would have raised a lot of questions. And a lot of thinking would have to be done by Brendan Rodgers as to who starts moving forward, who starts against Livingston next week. And I think Ada would have been under a lot of pressure. I think that he, behind closed doors, will be breathing a sigh of relief tonight that Kenny hasn't stepped up and taken his chances, because he didn't, and he had them. And that's not me being harsh on Kenny. I think he needs more time, he needs more chances, he needs to be more familiar with this level of football that he's not played at all that much. I don't want to be harsh on the young lad, but it was a huge chance for him to put something out there for Brendan Rodgers to think about, and he didn't take it. And Adam Idah will be delighted about that. That's what I took away from tonight's game. But what it does raise once more, as we've already spoke about, is we need a striker. We have now scored 7 goals in the opening 3 games of the season, and not one of them has come from an out-and-out striker. Not a single goal. And that's not, panic stations. That's not something to be sitting here worried about all too much. But, at one point, you can't rely on the goals to come from everywhere else in the park, which is, we're so lucky at Celtic that happens. But we really need quality. And we need it in these next 16 days before the window shuts. I think it's obvious. And I think that maybe Johnny Kenny, for example, could do with a loan move. I think he could do with playing football at the level. Get him out playing somewhere in the league if they're willing to take him. Get him out playing somewhere down south that's maybe closer to the level of Scottish football. Get him playing consistently and get minutes in his legs. Because until then, he can't be expected to come into the Celtic team every week to pick up the pieces and to score the goals. He's not there. But we need quality, because there's balls flying in the box and there's situations opening up and there's just no striker. There's nobody there. And that's been evident in the opening 3 games of the season. But we had plenty of chances, and Celtic broke the deadlock via Daisen Maeda, who finished an easy opportunity. Good to see him get underway this season, his first of the campaign, and it will, bring a lot of smiles to faces and maybe ease some concerns about how the way he started the campaign. I thought Maeda looked sharper today. I think there was still imperfections in his game, a couple of disappointing first touches, a couple of crosses that could have been better, but I think it was probably his best performance so far in the campaign. And once again, I'm not one of these people who are rushing to paint him as if he's wanting to leave or throwing him out the door or suggesting this or that. I think that sometimes, slow starts happen, and he's been moved back over to the left wing, a left wing that looks very different with Kieran Tierney behind him. It's going to take some time to adjust again, so hopefully that's a confidence builder for him. It got Celtic underway. I thought that we kind of dipped off a little bit in the last 5 or 10 minutes of the first half. We kind of let Falkirk get a wee bit more comfortable in the game as the half came to an end, but we were in total control. As I said, it could have been 3, 4 or 5, but we kept it for the second half, didn't we? Second half, Celtic were brilliant. We came out flying and we scored goals in quite a quick and consistent manner. First was Alistair Johnston with, play him up front if he's going to finish the ball like that. What a goal from Ali Johnston. If you haven't had the chance to watch the highlights yet and you haven't seen Alistair Johnston's goal, I don't know why you wouldn't watch the highlights first before coming to see me talk shite, but if you've not seen Alistair Johnston's goal yet, what a cracker from him. You wouldn't think it's a right back. The way that he takes it forward and then finishes the ball is just sublime. And I love the guy to bits, so I was chuffed to see him score that. Then only a few more minutes later, we see Dane Murray get a goal, his first goal I believe at senior level, on the day he signs his new contract, which I'm delighted to hear about as well. Great performance from him, we'll come on to that in a moment. And then 5 minutes after that, we get an own goal via some good work of Yang. So yeah, we scored quick and early in the second half to make it 4-0. I think once again, we really flattered Falkirk, because I think that even after that we could have scored more, we should have scored more. We obviously should have had more in the first half as well. It was a really, really good performance from us, and if we had another striker in there, maybe we'd have scored 6 or 7 today. But Murray, Johnson and Henderson's own goal added to Celtic's great second half. The ball in from Engels for Murray's goal. Oh, we scored from a corner kick, ladies and gentlemen. I've not even acknowledged that, by the way. We scored from a corner kick. Doesn't happen often. It's like Homer Simpson ringing the bell. The end is nigh. We scored from a corner. A great corner. We need that more often. And if Dane Murray is going to be the guy that gets onto the end of crosses, play him more often. Or get him to teach some courses at Lennoxtown. I don't care if he's the youngest centre-half there is. I don't care if he's the most inexperienced. I don't care about anybody. Get him telling the rest of them how to do it. It was a great cross, great header. Yang done really, really well. I'll give him his credit as well for the goal that was an own goal. We started the second half really, really well. And despite conceding, we looked really, really good. Conceding was a bit painful. I would have loved to have seen Sinsalo keep a clean sheet, especially because he had a really good game, I thought. Made a couple of big saves. Distribution was fantastic. He's making a real case for being Celtic's next number one, and the more I see him, the more confident I am that he will be Celtic's number one and that he should be Celtic's next number one. I think that we'll look back in a few... We often go on about poor recruitment these last couple of years at Celtic and flops and whatnot. I think that we're going to look back in a few years' time at Sinisalo being one of the most clever signings that the club have made. £1 million for somebody who could be a real talent for us, and some real proper future planning, which doesn't feel like it happens all that much at Celtic. But it was a shame to lose it. It was a poor goal to concede. Liam Scales, God, surprise, Ryan Mulroney's about to criticise Scales, but he stands off him far too much. It's poor defending, but he takes it so well. I don't think anybody, even Scales, was expecting Adams to finish it the way that he did. But he can't stand off him as much. You know, you need to put some more pressure. You need to stand your man up properly. Didn't do that. It was the only blemish on an otherwise great day for Celtic. And we see the game out very, very professionally, while making changes, while getting minutes in the legs of players we've not seen all that much. It was a real professional performance from Celtic today, and by far our best attacking performance of the season so far. So a lot of positives just to take out of the afternoon. I don't usually use graphics all that often in match reactions. It's just meant to be my raw thoughts after the game, but I wanted to use this just to aid the conversation about the changes that Rodgers made going into this game today, and just to give credit to those who came in and what I thought of players that we've not seen so much of this season. I thought Sinisalo, as I've already said, was great, so positive there. And Murray and Trusty, I thought, looked really good together, and I thought both of them had individually great games. A couple of dodgy moments from Murray with passes and stuff, but I think that's to be expected when you're coming into the team and you're getting your chance finally. It wasn't anything drastic, and it was only like once or twice maybe, but I thought both of them had individually good games. McCowan looked good as usual. Engels, bit of a mixed game for me, but the guy, I think the guy oozes some class in there. I think he had a bit of a messy game at times. He was struggling at keeping the ball at moments, but the cross for the goal, moments where he does get the ball round his player, I think the glimpses of a player are always shown with Engels. It's about confidence for him, I think, and when the confidence starts to fall, I think that we're going to see how good a player he truly is. So I don't think it was a bad game for Engels. I don't think it was a great game for Engels. I just want to see more of him, and I want to see him take these chances when they're given. And Kenny was probably the only one that disappointed me out of the players that started that were given chances this afternoon. I thought there was a couple of moments he could have done better. He was maybe just under a bit of pressure, maybe panicked. But it wasn't a bad performance by any stretch. But it was good to see Bernardo. It was good to see Yamada, but wasn't in the game. Not a lot opened up for him, which I won't hold against him too much. And yeah, as I said, Brendan Rodgers able to show the real strength of the squad when we go deep, even though there are slight concerns around that. Domestically, this is a squad that is far more than good enough, and I was pleased with basically everyone today. So it's through to the next round, and we'll see who we face when this weekend's fixtures are over and done with. Sorry if it's been a bit quick, a bit raw, a bit fast, it's 11:05 as I sit here doing this part of the video. So I need to move, and we'll talk a bit more in depth about it over the weekend. So I hope you enjoyed the game. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next time.